You think the Addams Family was just spooky fun? Try Network Panic, taboo TV romance, and a hand that stole the show. Back in 1964, this ghoulish gang flipped American TV on its head. And behind the laughs was a parade of chaos, genius, and pure weirdness. Today, we're digging up 10 wild facts about the Addams Family that even Thing wouldn't believe. Number 1. Gomez wasn't supposed to be handsome. When John Astin was cast as Gomez, the role was originally imagined closer to Charles Addams's macabre cartoon father, dapper but ghoulish, more visual gag than heartthrob, and a sharp contrast to Morticia's vampy glamour. Then Astin showed up, wide-eyed, witty, and weirdly magnetic. Instead of creepy, he leaned into romantic chaos. Gomez didn't just love Morticia, he worshipped her. He kissed her arms. He murmured sweet nothings in French. He made being obsessed with your wife look cool. At first, there were nerves about whether that much affection was too much for a 1960s sitcom. Audiences, though, obsessed. They loved the Addams' freaky but wholesome chemistry. Astin's take reshaped the character and the show. Gomez stopped being a gag and became relationship goals, goth style. So yeah, plot twist, Gomez Addams was too hot to fail. Fact 2. Morticia's dress was a health hazard. Carolyn Jones looked iconic in that slinky, all-black gown, but wearing it was no picnic. The dress was so tight that sitting was difficult, so between takes, she often rested standing and moved carefully to keep the silhouette perfect. The costume was custom-fitted and tightly boned to give Morticia that impossibly tiny waist. Gorgeous on camera, seriously restrictive in real life. Jones joked about how little she could move, but still floated through scenes with eerie elegance. And that floor-length train? It forced a slow gliding walk. One wrong step, and it was Faceplant City in full gothic glamour. The payoff? Morticia became a TV fashion legend, setting the standard for every goth queen to follow. She suffered for the look, and we're still obsessed. Number 3. Lurch wasn't supposed to talk. In the original concept, Lurch, the towering butler, was meant to be mostly nonverbal. Grunts, glares, spooky silence. Then Ted Cassidy tried a deep, slow, "You rang?" In early rehearsal taping, it killed. The cast cracked up, the crew loved it, and the writers started feeding him lines. That single moment turned into a catchphrase, and Lurch morphed from background creep to fan-favorite oddball. Cassidy's deadpan delivery, harpsichord flourishes, and looming presence gave the character heart, humor, and just the right amount of weird. By the end of season 1, Lurch was getting subplots and musical bits. Not bad for a butler who was supposed to be practically mute. Sometimes one line is all it takes to steal the show. Number 4. Thing was played by a real hand, and it wasn't easy. That skittering disembodied hand? 100% human. No animatronics, no CGI. Ted Cassidy, yes, Lurch himself, often performed Thing, crouching under tables and inside boxes, slipping his hand through hidden openings to bring it to life. It looked simple. It wasn't. Cassidy had to hit exact marks so his hand didn't knock props or pop out at the wrong angle, and scenes often needed multiple takes to get the scuttle just right. When Thing had to appear far from Lurch, or share a scene with him, another performer stepped in as a hand double. Fans loved Thing's creepy charisma. Behind the scenes, it was sweat, squats, and hand cramps. Proof that sometimes the smallest role takes the most work. Especially when it's just a hand. Number 5. The censors freaked out over affection. Gomez and Morticia were among the first mainstream 60s sitcom couples to be openly, playfully passionate. And the networks weren't sure what to do with that. In an era when TV spouses often slept in separate beds and barely touched, these two were all kissing, flirting, and French-speaking foreplay. The creators weren't chasing shock value. They thought love should be weird and fun. Reports of standards and practices worries about excessive affection floated around. But the show kept that vibe as a defining hallmark. Basically, Gomez being obsessed with his wife read as scandalous to some, and irresistible to viewers. Audiences ate it up. Their chemistry felt magnetic, a little revolutionary, and exactly the right kind of weird. So next time you see Gomez kiss Morticia's arm, remember, that was once considered too hot for TV. Number 6. The Addams theme song made music history. You know it the second you hear it. Snap, snap. The Addams Family theme is one of TV's most recognizable tunes, and it earned that status the old-fashioned way. Sly writing and a killer groove. Composed by Vic Mizzy, the track blends a studio, orchestra with a cheeky harpsichord lead and those unmistakable finger snaps. Mizzy even performed and overdubbed the snaps himself to nail the exact feel he wanted. The lyrics do double duty. They're creepy and they're kooky. It's basically a character bio set to music, delivered in under 30 seconds. It was an instant earworm that stuck to the show like cobwebs on a candelabra. Decades later, the opening still hits like a spell. Every reboot, remix, and Halloween playlist owes a little something to those two perfect snaps. Number 7. The cast was paid peanuts. You'd think starring in a beloved cultural icon would mean big bucks, right? Not in the mid-60s. By the standards of the time, the cast's pay was modest. Typical network-scale money for a new sitcom. Not the kind of cash you'd expect for something that would become a legend. The real sting came later. The Addamses exploded in syndication, but the era's contracts meant limited residuals, so the original actors didn't share much in the long tail. Meanwhile, the show kept finding new life, reruns, revivals, Halloween marathons, without a payday that matched its cultural footprint. Carolyn Jones and company weren't in it for a fortune, and it shows. They poured style and weird charisma into every scene. A global franchise was born, but the stars saw only a modest slice. So next time you binge The Addamses, pour one out for the cast who made magic on a modest paycheck. Number 8. The Addams Family met Batman. Yes, this actually happened. In peak 1960s TV weirdness, Lurch popped up on Batman as a quick bat-climb window cameo in 1966. Ted Cassidy appeared in full Lurch getup, traded a dry one-liner with the dynamic duo, and vanished just as fast. It wasn't a full crossover or shared universe, more a winky gag, and Batman did lots of these cameos. Fun wrinkle: the moment landed after the Addams Family had already wrapped its original run, which only made the surprise pop even harder. No, Lurch didn't fight crime or move into the Batcave. But for one surreal second, Gotham brushed against spooky suburbia. And it worked. Number 9. The show got 0 Emmys. Not even a nomination. Here's the real horror story. The Addams Family was completely shut out by the Emmys. No wins, no nominations, not even a nod for costumes or music, despite its originality, clever writing, and legendary performances. Awards attention went elsewhere. Traditional sitcoms of the era dominated the trophies. Spooky and subversive simply wasn't the Academy's vibe at the time. But while the Emmys passed, audiences didn't. Reruns, reboots, and Halloween culture kept the Addams legacy thriving, turning this overlooked series into a bona fide pop culture icon. So yeah, the Emmys ghosted them, but the world didn't forget. Number 10. The show only lasted 2 seasons, but never died. Here's the spookiest twist of all. The Addams Family aired on ABC for just 2 seasons, 64 episodes total, and was cancelled in 1966 after ratings slipped. Barely a blip by network standards. But the Addamses refused to stay buried. Syndication resurrected the show for new generations, who fell for the ghoulish charm, deadpan humor, and total weirdness. From there came animated series 1973, 1992, big screen hits, the 1991 film A Bona Fide Blockbuster, with a 1993 sequel that didn't match its haul, a Broadway musical in 2010, fresh reboots, and of course, a certain dance-crazed Wednesday lighting up Netflix. All that from a series cancelled before it hit its stride. Those 64 episodes? Timeless, immortal, iconic. Morticia became a Halloween queen. Gomez redefined love, and the theme song, still snapping strong about 60 years later. Creepy, kooky, and absolutely eternal. So there you have it. 10 spooky, kooky facts you probably never knew about the Addams Family. From tight corsets to crossover cameos, this little gothic sitcom left a mark way bigger than anyone expected. Which fact creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay spooky.